Imagine, just for a moment, that there was a medicine, not some miracle drug promising wealth or love, but something quieter, deeper, more honest. A small, imaginary, unremarkable pill that once taken doesn't change the world around you, but changes you. Not into someone else, but into the best version of yourself. The one you know is in there. The one that breathes easier, speaks more clearly, carries less tension, and moves through life without dragging the weight of old patterns behind. This medicine wouldn't make you a millionaire. It wouldn't hand you the perfect partner or guarantee applause from the world. But it would do something far more important. It would bring you back to yourself. The you that feels calm without needing a reason. The you that doesn't flinch in doubt before every decision. The you that feels whole. Not because life is perfect, but because you're no longer fighting yourself. Would you take it? Most people say yes. I would too. But here's the one difference between most people and me. I've already taken that medicine. Not once. Several times. And each time, without exception, it worked. Each time, I became more of who I wanted to be. Not in a flash, not overnight, but clearly, undeniably, steadily. There's only one catch. It doesn't cost money, but it does cost effort and time. For some people, the shift happens within a few days. For others, it takes longer, a few weeks, maybe even months. It depends on how far you've drifted from yourself and how long you've been living inside a version of your life that no longer fits. To qualify for this medicine, the one that brings you back to yourself, there's only one requirement: a proper diagnosis. Not the kind that looks at surface symptoms, but one that reaches underneath. A diagnosis that dares to ask, why aren't you currently the best version of yourself? What's actually in the way? Not the obvious reasons. Anyone can point to money problems and say they cause stress. Anyone can say losing a partner makes you feel alone. But those are surface level truths. Important, yes, but not the real roots. Because if you look closer, and I mean really look, you'll see something else. Financial stress often isn't just about the numbers in your bank account. It's about the loss of optimism, about falling into a pattern of negative predictions, about a shrinking sense of creativity that once allowed you to see possibilities instead of only problems. And the heaviness you feel after losing a partner? It may not come only from their absence, but from the silence that follows when you no longer dare to dream again. From the stillness that arrives when you stop stepping into new adventures. From forgetting how to notice what's still here. The beauty, the connections, the open doors you haven't walked through yet. These are just examples, of course. Everyone has their own version. The point is this: symptoms are loud, but causes are quiet. And most of us have never been taught to listen that deep. But the truth, if you're willing to go beyond the surface, if you're brave enough to sit with the harder questions, you can almost always diagnose yourself. You don't need a doctor for that. You don't even need a coach. What you need is honesty. Not with others, with yourself. Because once you name the real cause, not the excuse, not the noise, but the root, the medicine starts to work. And what it activates isn't magic. It's movement. It's clarity. It's the return of something you thought you had lost. Your own ability to change. At this point, you might be wondering if it's really that simple, if the pill is just honesty and movement and choosing to reconnect with who you truly are. Then why hasn't it worked yet? Why are so many of us still stuck in the same patterns, circling the same problems, repeating the same quiet frustrations? In most cases, it's because of one thing: we're afraid to lose part of our identity. And that creates a strange contradiction. We say we want change. We long for relief. We imagine becoming a lighter, stronger, more relaxed version of ourselves. But when the moment comes, the real moment, to let go of what's holding us back, something deep inside resists. Because what's holding us back isn't just fear, it's familiarity. It's a belief we've carried for so long, it feels like part of who we are. I work with a woman who says she feels deeply alone. She rarely leaves the house anymore. Not because she's unwell, not because she has nowhere to go, but because she's ashamed of her teeth. They're not perfect, and for her, that's enough reason to withdraw from the world. You might think, come on, is it really that serious? But to her it is. Because she was raised with the belief that a woman must always look immaculate. That beauty equals worth. That you don't show up unless you're flawless. And if you believe that, truly believe it, then walking into the world with visible imperfection isn't just uncomfortable, it's unbearable. But here's the real issue. The problem isn't her teeth. The real weight she's carrying is shame. A deep-rooted conviction that unless she looks perfect, she doesn't deserve to be seen. That unless she meets a certain standard, she's not enough. And beneath that, a fragile sense of self-worth, trained from early on to link value with appearance. Still, she refuses to let that belief go. This is how I was raised, she says firmly, and I want to keep believing it. She doesn't just say that to me, she says it to herself every day, as if protecting that belief protects her, as if holding on to the pain keeps her grounded in who she is. But here's the thing, no medicine works if you won't let it in. You can't become the next version of yourself while gripping tightly to an outdated definition of who you've always been. You can't rise if you refuse to loosen your grip on the very weight that's keeping you down. And no matter how much you long to change, if you keep defending the story that's hurting you, nothing shifts. And so she stays inside, not because of her teeth, but because of an identity that says, this is who I am, and I won't let that go. But who told her that identity couldn't evolve? Who decided that the beliefs we're handed at 5 or 15 must still govern us at 50? What if true growth doesn't come from fixing flaws, but from rewriting what we believe makes us worthy in the first place? That's what this medicine really asks of you. Not perfection, not performance, just willingness. The willingness to let go of outdated definitions of who you think you have to be. The willingness to stop hiding behind what once protected you and step into what might actually support you now. Because growth isn't about becoming someone else. It's about returning to the version of you that never needed to pretend in the first place. The version that doesn't equate shame with honesty, or worth with image, or love with achievement. It's about finding your way back to the you that still wants, still feels, still believes, even if quietly. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it takes time. And no, you don't get to skip the part where you face yourself honestly. But once you do, once you stop defending the things that limit you, you start to feel something shift. And that shift, that's the medicine kicking in. Not all at once, not with fireworks, but steadily, like warmth returning to a numb limb. So if you're tired of struggling, if you're done waiting for the world to hand you a version of life that feels better, maybe this is the moment to ask yourself a different kind of question. Not what's wrong with me, but what have I been believing that no longer serves me? Because the real change, the kind that lasts, never starts with fixing what's broken. It starts with releasing what was never true.